HAR.com was already a valuable tool, but once we were able to establish a relationship with our realtor, we had access to premium features that allowed us to feel much more educated. He brought tremendous experience, deep knowledge. I don't think we could have gotten through it without him.
Good morning, Texas Realtors. What an incredible morning it is. You guys are bringing the energy, the passion, and the commitment.
You are the strongest grassroots advocacy force in the state of Texas. You are the voice for Texas real estate. And when we stand together, we make a big impact.
We were able to sit down and talk about the issues that we are prioritizing this legislation, some of them being housing affordability, private property tax, transparency, and water infrastructure. We were able to discuss issues that they were concerned about as well.
We are here today at the Capitol for Realtor Day at the Capitol. We show up, we have meetings all day with Texas legislators, and we really have great conversations about the issues and the legislative topics that are important to us for home ownership, for property owners' rights, and this is the day where the rubber meets the road for realtors.
I invest in TreePack because it's the right thing to do. I invest in my clients, I invest in our industry, and if I didn't, it would be sticking my head in the sand and waiting for someone else to do what I need to do. If we're not at the table with the politicians, we're on the menu.
What I really like about this global dinners that we donate to TreePack is that we have a chance to learn about other cultures. With Houston being such a diverse market with all these other cultures, why not know more about the people that we serve, helping them find homes, that they're getting together, having a meal together, and learning about it. So I'm really excited that these global dinners come, giving us the experience to know where other people come from to better serve them, and at the same time, donating to a great cause in TreePack.
Being a first-time home buyer, I wanted to make sure that I was able to get into a home that would not stress me out. Through HAR.com, my realtor found me some down payment assistance, and that made it a lot more affordable to purchase a home.
Good morning and welcome to Member Focus Monday. I'm Christina Schaefer, Director of Social Media and Sponsorships for HAR. September is Realtor Safety Month, and while we spotlight safety this time of year, safety is something realtors need to think about every single day. From meeting new clients to showing properties and everything in between, staying aware and prepared is part of doing business. Joining me today is Mike Wong, HAR's Safety Task Force Chair. He's going to share practical safety tips, tools that you can use right now, and details on the extra educational opportunities HAR is offering this month to help keep you safe in the field. Welcome to the program, Mike.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you for having me this morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. I know that this month is a very busy month for you, so I'm glad you could take some time out to discuss this really important topic for realtors. Before we get into everything though, Mike, for anyone who doesn't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, and why safety is something that you're so passionate about.
Yeah, so absolutely. I'm a commercial realtor, just like many of our members out there. I past HAR board member and current TAR board of director, and I get to serve on the HAR Safety Task Force. You asked me about why I'm passionate about realtor safety. I've had personal experiences happen over my career just in the real estate industry, and they've been kind of dangerous and scary. And the more I talk about them, the more I hear from friends and colleagues about their experiences. So I realize, it's not just me, it's not just isolated, it's happening to a lot of our members. And so, I'm grateful that HAR is taking safety as a top priority. And by creating the task force, we have staff involved, we have leadership involved, and we have volunteer members involved. And we look at everything from, realtor member safety to consumer safety to cyber fraud.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mike. Now, of course, as I just mentioned, September is Realtor Safety Month. Why is this awareness initiative so important for real estate professionals?
Absolutely. So, realtors face a lot of risks year round for just doing their jobs. They're just meeting clients, they're meeting in different places and showing people properties. So, Realtor Safety Month is the time of year that we collaborate as an industry, nationally and locally, to provide focused resources specifically for safety. So that's training, videos, tips, everything realtors need to protect themselves and their clients from potential threats. And it's a month-long campaign, but remember, we face safety and security issues daily in our professional and personal lives.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of the biggest safety risks or safety scenarios realtors should be aware of right now?
Sure. So realtors interact with strangers every day in different places and properties. So you often interact on social media, and you put a lot of information about yourself out there and make yourself available. And people do contact you off the internet often. So they've looked at your social media, they've looked at your photos, and you just have to be conscious of what you're putting out there. Are you posting photos of your kids' names and where they go to school and things like that? Are you posting photos of where you live, where you may be able to be tracked down? So we don't know who's watching us. We don't know why they're watching us or where they're watching us from. So we just have to be conscious of that. Not only that, then it's our job to actually meet these strangers who've checked us out online at a property, and most of the time we're meeting them alone. And so many realtors will rush off and meet a complete stranger on a initial phone call. And so, for example, do you really know who you're meeting when you go to these appointments, or you go to meet a person at a vacant property alone? Those are some considerations. And we mentioned cybersecurity as well. So there's cybersecurity risks just due to the size of the financial transactions we handle. We're big targets because of those properties we're selling and the potential for wire fraud. Hacking has increased as well, with data leaks increasing. And I have a statistic here that in June, a report revealed over 16 billion, with a B, usernames and passwords that were compromised. In perspective, the entire US population is 350 million people. So 16 billion credentials versus 350 million people.
Wow. And next week, I should go ahead and mention now, next week, we're really going to dive into cybersecurity with HAR's Director of IT and Security, Edward Monker. So we have a lot to talk about with him. It sounds like that is a startling statistic that you just shared. Yeah. So what practical tips do you recommend agents follow when they're meeting new clients or showing properties? Because as you just said, they're looking you up online, they're reading about you, knowing about you, they call you, and then here we are, ready to meet. So what are some practical tips that you recommend?
Yes, so definitely screen your leads and appointments before meeting them. Request to meet in a public place. Don't just rush off to meet them at a property. Try and get them to come into your office, or meet them at a coffee shop, somewhere nearby where there's security cameras and there's an ability to look back and track and see who you're with should something happen. You can also research the properties that they're requesting the tour. Are they vacant, or if they're occupied? Know what you're going to be walking into. And are they asking to look at something that's isolated, such as land or farm and ranch, something where it's going to be further out, you may not have good cell phone reception, and you may be alone with this person. When touring a property, let the person lead. I know we want to show and highlight the features of the home, but let the person lead. Don't let them follow behind you into a bedroom, a bathroom, or a closet that you can't escape from. And what people really like right now are floor plans. So those are the floor plan that you can preview to plan a safe tour of these properties. Agents, you have a great tool provided by HAR called Kubicasa, and consumers are wanting floor plans, and this is a great tool to kind of take a look at your preview or before you get to the property and know what you're walking into. You can pick out those dead ends. You can pick out those areas you don't want to walk, that you're going to let that consumer walk on their own. Looking at those floor plans, one good thing to do is know where your escape routes are. Know where the back door is. Does it lead into a backyard or a fenced area? Know how you're going to get out of that property if any emergency occurs. Next, another tip.
Sorry, I just wanted to say, Mike, I think that's such a great tip that I've we hear safety tips and sometimes you're like, okay, I've heard that before, but they're all great reminders. But that one in particular, utilizing Kubicasa, which is a tool that every HAR member has access to for your safety, if nothing else. I think that's such a great tip. So thank you for mentioning that. Sorry, go ahead with what else you were going to say.
No, you're good. I mean, absolutely. If you notice when you go to like hotels or schools or large buildings, there's a safety escape plan on the wall. Mm-hmm. And so, we should practice that daily as realtors. How are we going to get out if there's an emergency? Because reality, we're going to places we've never been with people we've never met before. And so the more precautions you take, the better prepared you are. Mm-hmm. Another tip is letting somebody know where you're going and who you're going to meet. So you can let them know what time your appointments are, what your schedule's like, and you can ask them to call and check in on you. So use a buddy system or the Safe Showings app. And, another big tip, and it's a pet peeve, but don't be distracted on your cell phones. First of all, it's being respectful to the person you're with, but it's also for awareness of what's happening around you. Mm-hmm. Knowing who and where people are around you and being able to react if something occurs. Why risk your life over a text message or a reel on a 5-inch phone screen when you're standing with a complete stranger in a property alone, right? Mm-hmm. And that doesn't apply to showings or open houses. Many people walk through parking lots looking at their phones, unaware of what's going on around them.
Yeah, you definitely see it. And just, going to the grocery store, if you're looking around and being aware of your surroundings, you see how many people are not aware of their surroundings. So all great points. Thank you so much, Mike, for mentioning those. Just a couple comments I wanted to address from the live viewers. Val said that she uses the Forewarn app ahead of any meeting. CJ Johnson said location share on your cell phone is another great option. So sharing your location with a trusted party. Excellent advice there. Wonderful. So let's talk about how agents can safely vet new leads before agreeing to go meet in person, because I think that this is a mistake. And sometimes I hear people say that this is something that happens with newer agents, but I would imagine this happens no matter how long you've been in real estate. You get that phone call, you're ready to go jump in the car, but there's some things you need to do first. So tell us, Mike, how can we vet those new leads?
Yes. So, the easy thing to do is just look them up online. You can Google their name, their phone number, see where they show up, look at their LinkedIn to verify, what state that they are in or where they may work, if they told you they're relocating or which company they work for. And then check out their social media posts, see what they're saying. Again, get a photo of the person so you know who you're meeting in person, and you get an idea of the type of personality you might be meeting just based on their social media profile. And then you can ask them questions, right? Do they have a pre-qualification letter? And that means if they do, a lender has vetted them. They've looked at some financial information. They've maybe gotten their social security number and run a credit report on them. So that's a great tool as well. If not, if they haven't done that, maybe ask them to come into your office and meet with the lender before going out to look at those properties. And that way you can really get an idea who they are. If they decline and say they don't need a lender, then just ask for proof of funds, something like that, just to make sure they're a serious buyer, make sure they're qualified and that they're capable. Another tip could be ask them if there's a relocation company involved in their move. That way you can, again, build their profile, know who you're talking to, get an idea a little bit about what's their motivating factors, but try and dig into their background. You can ask them if schools are important. Do they have children or a family? Is proximity to work important, where are they going to work at, and who's their employer. So this helps you, again, build that profile, understand who you're meeting, what their motivation is, and if they're really, really a serious client. Basic questions, you can really get a good feel for who you're talking to and who you're dealing with. Learn their story and listen for red flags. So one other thing I hear often is agents will ask for their ID. And so that's definitely a great tip. But if you do that, you have to practice that for everybody. So it doesn't matter if it's a referral, a friend or family, you want to keep those IDs or keep a history that you've asked for those, just to avoid any type of fair housing complaints.
Yeah, great advice there. I think that some people worry about asking for an ID. Like you said, if you're going to do it with one client, do it with every client. But when we think about going to tour apartments, or even going to test drive a car, they're taking your ID for those situations. So why aren't we doing it for other situations like real estate? A couple more comments that came in, and I think there was also a question in there too. Lana asked, yes, there was a question here from Lana. She said, can we take a picture of the person before opening the door so they know, just heads up, just in case I have your photo?
You definitely can. I don't know too much about privacy law, so I'll leave that to legal to answer. But
Sure.
You can let them know, hey, I'd like to save your contact in my phone. I associate better with the photo of somebody. Would you mind if I just took your photo and save your contact in my phone under your photo? And most people, they don't have a problem with that. It's the bad guys that don't want their photos taken that are going to have that. So definitely a good tip.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are using Shadra, I hope I pronounced that correctly, Shadra, she was asking what's the process for safe showings. We can share a link, Shadra, that kind of walks you through it. They have some tutorial videos online that can definitely help you. But that's actually one of the things that the Safe Showings app does, right, Mike? It kind of takes that, it lets the person know you're taking a picture of them.
Yes.
If you're using that process. Yeah. So something to look into there. And of course, we can share some links. And just another comment here that just said great reminders. So we appreciate that. One thing that I heard recently, Mike, and this is just one of those kind of double checking, vetting leads. If somebody says they are a referral, calling you up on the phone and says, hey, Mike Wong gave me your number and said I should call you and work with you, maybe call the person that's the referrer, because I know there have been situations, and you and I've heard some stories even of situations where somebody said they were referred by somebody, but in reality that person, the referrer, didn't know the person at all. Maybe, like you said, they looked him up on social media, saw, oh, she's friends with this guy Mike, I'm going to say Mike's the person referring me. So even vetting in those scenarios I think is important. I know you and I heard a story about a situation that happened and somebody looked him up in Fort Warren and there was a lot of criminal history there. So that's another way that we could be double checking, right?
Yeah.
Very good.
That's a great tip. A lot of people, a criminal will try and make you comfortable and de-escalate as much as possible. And one way that they do that is tell us, hey, I got your name from Mike Wong, and you're thinking to yourself, hey, Mike's a great guy and he's a good friend and he always sends me business. But it puts you at risk and you've kind of lowered your guard just because of that. So definitely check out everybody that you're working with.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple more just quick comments. Linda said, forewarn is the best. Thanks, HAR. Frank said, take a photo of their car/driver's license. So additional tips. And if you are watching the live stream and you have additional tips or things we haven't mentioned, please type them in. We want as many ideas as possible because, of course, we want our members to be as safe as possible. So we've had a few people mention forewarn, so I think you're about to tell us about that. But what tools or apps do you recommend to help members stay safe during day-to-day business? I'm guessing forewarn is one of them.
Definitely, and I'm glad to hear our members are enjoying that benefit. It's an amazing tool and it's provided to members by HAR. So if you're not taking advantage of that, definitely take advantage of that. Everywhere I go, I hear about that tool, and the people who use it absolutely rave about it. And the people who aren't using it get FOMO because they're like, what am I missing? And we have to get them signed up. So what Forewarn does, it allows you to enter a phone number. And based on that phone number, it's going to give you records from property addresses to financial information, criminal records, and their vehicle records. and obviously criminal records as well. So anything associated with that number is going to pop up. Now, it's not always 100% correct. Somebody may have had that number before. But we always activate a new line, and we get a number that may belong to somebody else, and you get those calls. So just be aware of that. But generally, if the person is saying they're moving from a different state and their full Warren address shows that state and address, you're probably talking to the right person. It also gives vehicle information. So when you're meeting with that client or consumer out there, if you remember that vehicle information for Warren, if they show up in one of those vehicles, that's probably the right record that you're looking at. Another tool that was mentioned earlier was a Safe Showings app by HAR. And what that allows you to do is you enter your schedule of showings into that app. The property's going to go see and the times you're going to go see them. And that app actually checks in on you. It asks you to check in and press a button on the app to let people know that you're okay. If you don't press that button, you don't let people know, or you don't let the app know that you're okay, it's going to automatically message your emergency contacts program in the app. It's going to let them know your last location. And you can also create the buyer profile or client profile on that app by taking their picture. And like somebody said, take a picture of their vehicle, take a picture of their license plate, who you're meeting, and just keep that in your phone. Or you can text it to yourself. You can text it to a showing buddy or somebody else that should be aware of where you're going. So should something happen, they have a vehicle, possibly a photo of the person and their license plate.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you so much, Mike. A couple more comments that came in that I want to share. I'm loving these tips that you guys are sharing. Rhonda, great point here from Rhonda. We're saying bad guy, but I think we're just kind of generalizing here. She said, don't always assume it's a bad guy. Women can be the bad ones too. So yes, thank you so much, Rhonda, for that comment. Another comment here from Tanya. She said, be mindful of your position when entering codes to unlock your phone, enter your credentials to access Supra. Don't sit on your keys, put your phone down anywhere, while walking or talking with people. Linda, another comment here, share your showing route with a family member or share your calendar. Great there as well. Lana had a comment here. I carried 27-foot wasp/bug spray on hand when meeting with a client, so they know don't be trying to, quote, bug her. So I love that there, Lana. Thank you for sharing. A question here for Alma. From Alma, she said, can we say it's our company policy to get the copy of a driver's license or a license plate for security reasons?
You can. I would say definitely make it a personal policy, but if you do say it's a company policy, talk to your broker. So it's being practiced across every agent. Again, you don't want one agent practicing that and the rest of the company not, and then a potential discrimination lawsuit or something like that. But this is a great conversation to have with your broker, just not for your personal safety, but for the safety of your colleagues as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, maybe talk with the broker and see if we can make it a company policy. So very good. And then another comment here from Teresa Hill, who also serves on our safety task force, said, always trust your gut. If there's a bad smell, something's making it stink. I love that, Teresa. Thank you. So are there any HAR specific resources or features that support realtor safety that you wanted to mention?
Certainly. Well, we have our website, har.com/safety, and that's where we have most of our information there. You can download tools. Forewarn is there, Safe Showings is there. We have tips for members, and we have videos that we produce for members as well. There's resources there for you as well. And the safety training class schedule, anything that we have related to safety education is going to be posted there. So it's easy to find. And then there's a big button there as well that if an incident should happen, you can report directly to HAR so we can make sure that we're addressing it. And if it's a threat to all of our membership or something that we need to take immediate action on, we're aware of what's going on out there.
So what educational opportunities are being offered this month for Realtor Safety Month?
Sure. So we just had a really good class about the cybersecurity last week at HAR. And that's where I heard that 16 billion passwords were compromised and things like that. That instructor actually downloaded a file of over 1 million emails and passwords that was available on the dark web. And so he opened that file for us and started scrolling through some of that. I'm just thinking, I'm on there somewhere. Or somebody I know is on that file. And that was just 1 million that he downloaded. So coming up on September 17th, we have a webinar for Realtor Safety and Empowerment by Jen Cassetta, who's a nationally recognized realtor safety expert. And then our big event is going to be September 24th, which HAR organized, called Safety in the City. Crime Stoppers, along with Jen Cassetta again, will be speaking. And the proceeds for that event are actually going to benefit the 2025 TRLP class project.
Wonderful. And for anybody interested in that webinar or the Safety in the City event, we are posting those links in the comments for you. So please check those out. We want as many people to take advantage of these opportunities as possible. Is there a particular class or session that you think every member should attend, especially those newer to the business, that maybe a lot of this is new information?
Yes, so definitely. Listen in on the upcoming webinar. It's a perfect opportunity. It's coming up. And we're going to have more classes throughout the year. Safety's not just a September thing, it's a year-round thing. So HR is going to be working on those, and you can check on the websites. New agents, they have a lot on their plates already, from learning the various systems and tools, then broker training and marketing. They get overwhelmed just trying to get started, but safety should be a core focus. And I know in one of the associations in Texas, they're actually pushing for a safety course as part of our licensing curriculum. So that'll be interesting if that becomes effective. If you're a broker office and you'd like to host a safety class, just reach out to HAR. We can collaborate on something for you. We have a new 3-hour CE class from HAR, and I've taught it before for Johnson Development, builders, and brokers as well. It came from another provider, and we just revamped it for HAR so we can really focus on the message that we want to get out to our members.
Yeah, very good. Thank you so much. Just a comment that came in from Zach Perkins. He said 16 million passwords or a billion?
Billion. I'm sorry, 16 billion with a B.
Yeah, goodness, he said. And again, talking about cyber, we will be talking about cyber next week as well with HR's Director of IT and Security, Edward Monker. So I'm sure he's going to have a lot to say about those passwords. Beyond September, Mike, how can realtors continue to make safety a regular part of their routine?
Great question. You know, September is Realtor Safety Month, but as we know, crime doesn't happen on a schedule. Criminals act on opportunities, and that can be anytime or anywhere. So it's a year-round event, not just when we're at work, but out in our personal time or time with our families or on the weekends. Crime happens everywhere. So, you know, realtors can be targeted at work, at home, or anywhere since we're so accessible. You know, recently realtors have been harassed by text messages and calls. You can have incidents during appointments. I mean, there's a possibility you can walk in on squatters or somebody already in the property. You can encounter somebody that may have been stalking you or harassing you that followed you to an open house. You know, you don't really know who you're meeting at showings, or, you know, you can have an incident just grocery shopping. It may not be related to you, but it may just be something happening inside the store where it's an emergency situation. So, you know, safety doesn't just apply to, you know, our work, but keep in mind it's just a lifestyle, not necessarily a lifestyle. It happens all around us, and it's a life decision to be conscious of, protect ourselves. You know, safety and awareness should be part of your best practices. So at HAR, I mentioned again, safety is a priority, and we take it seriously to protect you. But realtors need to personally be proactive for their own safety as well. You know, we can provide you resources and everything, but if you don't utilize those and you're not aware, you're really opening yourself up to things that can happen. I would say take a safety or self-defense class and check out our resources. Develop and follow your best practices for safety. You know, look at your routine and share that with your colleagues, and let's start looking out for each other.
Thank you so much. A couple comments that came in. Felita was asking if the Safety in the City will be recorded or broadcasted online if you can't attend. Unfortunately for that one, Felita, we're not broadcasting that one. It is an in-person event, so hopefully you can carve out some time in your calendar to make it. But as Mike said, Jen Cassetta is one of the speakers for that day, and she is going to be on that webinar Mike mentioned. So if nothing else, maybe you could attend that webinar. Question here from Zach, are there any more situational awareness programs or classes available? I know you mentioned HAR's offerings. Do you know of anything else outside of HAR's offerings that they could look at?
Sure, there are some classes taught by different associations. USCCA used to be one, and the company I used to teach for, US Law Shield, may still offer it. There's a lot of general classes out there, but you can take the general ones because there's things that are taught that you have to hear more than once to really start implementing or really understand. And so, the more classes you can take, the better off you are.
Thank you. Very good. So, Mike, if someone experiences or witnesses a safety issue in the field, what steps should they take to report it?
Sure. So please, the first thing you should do is make sure you're safe. Get to a safe place, make sure you're out of that dangerous situation, and then call the police first to file a police report. With all the details you can remember, why it's still fresh in your mind, because it's a traumatic experience and you may forget things, you may be nervous, and there's a lot going through your mind at that time. It's very stressful. So definitely immediately make that police report, make that call, make sure you're safe first. And then don't pull out your phone and post it on social media. Just process it first. If it, make sure the authorities know about it so that they can arrest or get everybody involved. And then, 911, another thing is 911 can also receive text messages now if you're ever in a threatening situation and you can't talk, or that person may hear you, you can text 911 as well. And then once you're safe and you let the police know and you file that report, you can let HAR know. Again, that har.com/safety website, or you can email directly at safety@har.com. And this is how we know what's happening to our members. Obviously, we want to know what's happening out there because we want to know if there's a threat to all of our members, if it's something isolated, and then how we can help resolve that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mike. And again, thank you for leading these initiatives for us to have these resources at HAR and these different opportunities so our members can get better educated and really protect themselves. You've shared a lot of great tips today. We've had some great tips coming in from the live viewers as well. If there is maybe one mindset shift or habit realtors could adopt today to make safety a priority, what would that be? What would you recommend?
That's a great question. We talked a lot about classes. And, whether you're taking a physical martial arts class or a classroom realtor safety class or a self-defense class, the foundation of every safety class you're going to take is going to be based on situational awareness. And I really try to emphasize that when I teach as much as I can, because we've become distracted by things like cell phones, and they've created bad habits that compromise our awareness when we're out, and personal safety, when we're looking down, like you said, when we're walking through parking lots, or we're walking to places we're familiar at. That's when our guard is really down, and that's where a lot of bad things can happen. And so situational awareness is just to retrain ourselves, get ourselves better habits, and know what's going on around us. Situational awareness is that's the definition. It's just knowing what's going on around you, from being aware of the people around you, maybe where your exits are, your escape routes, and any obstacles in your way. And, a lot of people practice this without even realizing it, but just walking to and from your car every day, right? Is the pathway clear? Is there a puddle of water? Is there a stray animal nearby? Are you going to walk downstairs, or is there a tripping hazard? And when you're out and about, everyone's conscious of the personal space around them if somebody else is standing too close. So that's just a part of situational awareness. And in safety, we look at applying that for safety. Obviously, it's being aware of your environment and surroundings, but there's small mental exercises we teach to help you improve your situational awareness. And it applies everywhere and anywhere, not just at work. It can be in a public place, large events, schools, or grocery shopping. So in practice, that's knowing your exits and escape plan. It's recognizing risk, threats, or if you're being followed by somebody. In meeting with the consumer, it's recognizing red flags by their body language, their behavior, by their speech, or how they're answering questions, or how they're acting around you. And just like walking and seeing a puddle of water, you identify it and avoid it. That's just situational awareness. You just step around it. Instead, we focus our we shift our focus to safety, to recognize risk like red flags and potential situations to avoid them before they happen. And so, like Teresa said, we all have instincts, and those gut feelings are your subconscious telling you something isn't right. So, situational awareness is just being consciously aware so you can evaluate and react. The sooner we recognize the risks or dangers, the sooner we can react and get away.
Thank you so much, Mike. And I have to just thank you on a personal note. I've heard you talk about situational awareness for a few years now, and it's something that I started practicing in my personal life. And even with my daughter, we would be walking through parking lots, and I would say, "What color was that car that just passed us?" Just to see if she's paying attention to things around us. And just last week, we pulled into the pharmacy. It was late at night. We had to run in and grab something, and we were getting ready to get out of the car, and she said, "Mama, there's a person getting out of the car behind us." So she had actually looked around to see what was around us and made note there's somebody else getting out of a car behind us because it was late at night and she wanted to make sure I knew. So thank you, Mike, because I think we all need to be aware, but especially realtors doing business, it's so important to be aware of what's happening around you. So thank you.
No, yeah. I think that's a great story because, it's not something that this isn't just exclusively for realtors. And I mean, dangers and bad things happen to everybody, but learning situational awareness skills at a young age is critical as well. It's something I do with my nieces and nephews. And so now that they're young teenagers, they're aware when they're at the mall with their friends, they're aware of who's around them, they're aware if they're being followed. When they walk out in the parking lot, they're aware of people standing there or at their vehicles that aren't moving. And so that's a great exercise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mike. So is there anything else that you want to share with our members about staying safe this month and beyond?
Yeah. We're getting a lot of great comments, and I love to see how people already know these things and how they're interacting. It means they're probably practicing them already subconsciously. And so a challenge for me getting ready for this Member Focus Monday episode is I know all these things and I practice it without thinking, and trying to put it into words to explain in simple terms was a little bit challenging for me. But it's a great way for me to improve on teaching and for sharing skills and things like that. And so, we see on the news that, bad things happen all the time to just ordinary people, and they happen everywhere. So again, realtor safety is not just for September or not just for when we're meeting a client. It applies all the time in our daily personal and professional lives. We shouldn't be scared or live in fear. That's not what I want people to do. I want everybody to just be alert and aware of what's happening around you so that you can react should something go wrong. And then, like I said, we've already done it in so many other ways. It's just looking at things from your personal safety perspective. And it's just a slight mindset shift to recognize those red flags. Just like when you're driving, a great analogy is when you're driving, you recognize a pothole or things on the road, or you avoid that road rage driver who's weaving in and out of traffic, or you see that double wide mobile home blocking traffic on the freeway and you try and figure out how to get away from it. Mm-hmm. People are more conscious of things around them when they're driving than they are when they're walking through a parking lot because they're distracted. And so that's what I just want to emphasize is, guys, just get back to basics, know what's going on around you, put down that cell phone and eliminate those distractions. A few years ago, an incident, we had realtors being robbed in the parking lot of their office building as they're coming in and out of work. And it's because we're distracted. We're on our cell phone, we're looking at that text, that email, we're checking that file, and we're in that comfortable place that we go to every day, and our guard's down. And so we become easy targets. Always look ahead, and that doesn't apply just walking through a parking lot, but when you're approaching that home that you're about to show, look at what you're walking into. Is there maybe a broken window? Is there any signs there that somebody may be in the house? Is the fence gates open and swinging? Is the door propped open? Are there shadows moving inside? Could there possibly be somebody in there who's not supposed to be before you get to that property? That situational awareness and observing those red flags will they'll set off those red flags before you get there, and you'll be able to react or step back versus if you're distracted and going up there. So just like potholes and bad drivers, we have to just adjust and recognize different things and risks to our real estate situation. And so, Another thing is, as realtors, you make yourselves available and to your clients and consumers and new business, and you really put yourself out there. So, you're letting people know where you are on social media by, posting your open house. I know the exact hours you're going to be there. I know the exact date you're going to be there and the address you're going to be at for how long. And so just be conscious of that. Have somebody at the open house with you. Maybe bring a lender, bring a vendor with you, or bring a new agent who can shadow and learn from you. Not just for your own security, but maybe for the security of the open house. Somebody stationed in different areas for the homeowner safety as well. And then, be conscious of what you're doing in public. We talked about social media, but develop your best practices for safety. Share your tips and experiences with other realtors, just like our members are commenting. There's a lot of great tips in those comments, and help those newer agents. They're already overwhelmed with business and trying to make a buck, but just remind them, hey, we have dangers and risk in this industry too, and share those tips with them. And then work on your situational awareness. Invest in your own personal safety by taking a class. So let's look out for each other and be safe out there.
Thank you so much, Mike. Such great advice, great tips. Several comments coming in. Juana said, great tips in all caps. Thank you for this. Francisco said, very important message. So a lot of great tips and insightful information is what we're hearing. Again, Mike, thank you so much for being here and for sharing this important information. Again, realtor safety is something we need to take seriously every day, not just during Realtor Safety Month. So everyone be sure to check the HAR calendar for the Safety in the City event, the webinar Mike mentioned, and of course various things that we offer throughout the year. You can also look in your member portal for safety tools, tips, and different classes. So again, Mike, thank you so much for your time today. This was really helpful.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, next week, again, we will be joined by HAR's Director of IT and Security, Edward Moncor. He's going to talk about how to protect yourself, your business, and your clients online. So be sure to tune in for that. Thank you for watching. We will see you all next week. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.